So you've met Josefina, the leopard-spotted gecko, and we talked a little bit about how she gets 10 crickets on Mondays, on Wednesdays, and Fridays. And I ran a little experiment about how quickly she ate them. We're going to make a graph from the data. Now, the question is, do we make a graph from the from the trial spreadsheet, or do we make a graph using the summary spreadsheet? Well, we could do the trial spreadsheet if we wanted to know if she ate faster on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but I don't think she really has a concept of Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and pretty much when we take a look at our data, fairly consistent data depending upon the week. So what we really want to do is we want to graph our summary spreadsheet. And I've already got LoggerPro opened up on my desktop, so I'm going to come over and I am going to copy the data from my summary spreadsheet, and I'm going to come right over here and I'm going to paste it into my LoggerPro. As you can see, the points get plotted very, very nicely, and I need to follow the rules of a well-crafted graph. So what I'm going to do first is I am going to come right back over here and I'm going to copy my title. And I'm going to come over here and I am going to call this figure C and give myself a few spaces, and I'm going to put a title right into my graph. But then I need to take a look at giving my Y and my X axis the proper titles. So I'm going to come over and I know that this is minutes of feeding, because my minutes of feeding is going to determine the number of crickets eaten. So, number of crickets eaten. So now I have an X and a Y title, and now I need to decide, is this going to be a bar graph or a line graph? Right now it's just a scatter graph. So what I'm going to do is I am going to say, okay, if I'm looking at my X-axis, it's minutes of feeding. Hey, that's time. Time is a continuous data. It's kind of like weight or height or temperature, because you can find all those points in between. It's not categorical. We said last time that categorical data was expressed in a bar graph, so this must be a line graph because this is continuous, not categorical. So I'm going to double click onto space and I'm going to say connect points because I want a line graph. And I'm going to say OK. But my graph is squished into this very tiny corner, so I would like to click and drag my X-axis so that I really can take advantage of this whole piece of paper when I go to print this. But I also want to take advantage of the paper vertically, so I am going to click and drag my Y-axis down, and then I want to bring my Y-axis point over here. So I am taking advantage of the full graph space. Now when I take a look at the average time on the number of crickets that Josefina eats, I take a look at my line and it's almost linear. Not quite, but almost linear. The slope of my line is fairly consistent. So that tells me over the 1, 2, and 3 minutes of eating that she pretty much eats at a fairly consistent rate. That will be something that I can include in a well-crafted conclusion. But I'm going to save that for another time. Thanks.